we we get into the point of return. Hey, what's up?
The point of
Okay,
return.
the point
I
of the bottoming. That's what I mean, right? The point of return to fucking bull
the
market.
mean reversion.
Not really a mean reversion because a is mean reversion is when the trend is down and you
Hmm.
trying to catch that reverse. But the mean is your
Hmm.
trend. What I mean is that we might shift from mean reversion to trend into the upside. That's,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the local bottom in a way, right? Like
Mm.
this, is that ah, it,
Nice.
it looks interesting for it. So, but then I'm seeing a lot of crap in the market. So yeah, we'll go through a bunch of things that I'm watching. Morning guys, how you guys doing?
Mm. So FinRev is catching a nice bid. So all I'm doing is trying to fit the market to my narrative because I want it to keep on trending down. And so yeah, that's all I'm looking for is clarification of we're in a bear market, it's all fucked. Yes.
Yeah. The problem is when you're biased. That we have talked about
Oh,
it every single week.
unbelievably
You know what I
fucking
mean?
biased.
Because now you're making money with FinRev when everything is crashing, and then you say, "Oh, let's keep it. I don't fucking care about crypto. Just crash, crash, crash,
Yeah.
crash, and you're gonna keep making money, right?"
Mm.
But then that's when your bias shifts and say, "Fuck." If everything
Yep.
turns, we'll go through what I'm saying. But if everything turns, things are gonna turn fast, which is
Mm.
basically what crypto does. When they
Yeah.
turns, when it crashes, it crashes hard. When it turns hard, right? And all the
Mhm.
time, and that only happens like once or twice a year. Everything else
Mhm.
is just fucking ranging or
Mm.
volatility or market make it or a lot of different stuff, right? At the end of the day. So I don't know. Markets looks interesting from my perspective at this moment. So I'll go through what I'm saying. How about yourself? What do you see? Do you see anything interesting or?
Well, yeah, following on from our conversation last week, but not re-engaging it at the level that we did, we were talking about 4-year cycles. Okay. So all I mentioned that for is because we are, what, 9 days away from the end of the year candle. So what's a few of the many things that could happen? Okay. Well, we've got this number, this 93K from, the previous candle, and we've got this previous history where we've finished the year, with a green candle, but
Mhm.
we've already had a wick above it, right? So let's say that that didn't happen and we just kind of finished where we are. Like, forgetting the 4-year cycle, would that be a disaster? Would that be? I'm just like, well, no, we're just still kind of ranging. Nothing's happened. There's no liquidity. It's a Christmas period. Forget things like the Santa rally, just like I think we could stay like this. Will there be a Santa rally? Well, okay. We're at, I think we just trickled over 89 this morning. So let's say that we can get to this magic 93. Do I expect it to zoom on to 100? Well, I really don't know. I really don't
Mhm.
know. Where's that liquidity and where's that demand actually going to come from? Now, like you say, this is why crypto markets catch people because they do change so rapidly.
Mhm.
And there could be a piece of information that I'm not privy to because I don't keep up with enough things. Like Japan might have already altered the rate on that affects that Japan carry trade that I might not be aware of. They might, something like that might happen that's outside of my immediate, oh, I'm keeping up with all of these factors that
Mhm.
could inject some kind of liquidity. And that's more of, I'm trying to sort of give like at least three things that could happen because I don't have a solid hypothesis. I'm like, I don't see a massive downside. I don't see a massive upside,
Mhm.
which comes back to, well, I think we're in a trading range. Then the
Mhm.
trading range, I think, is bigger than that 93. I think it's something like 96, 97 down to about 86. Like it's about a $10,000 trading range. But we have
Mhm.
really compressed at the moment, and then that usually leads to an explosive move, but we don't know
Correct.
which way. So there's a lot of information and there's a lot of
Mhm.
confusion, which I say, Scott always says, when you're confused, that means you're in a trading range. Start there.
Yeah, and you're definitely right. You know what I mean? And then uh, I'm kind of obviously going through a lot. Like I don't know if you guys watch what I talked last week, and in terms of liquidity that you mentioned, what is the liquidity? I think the liquidity is not there yet. Why? Because there's a lot of people selling because of tax harvesting. So if this is very common in the US, even in Australia, right? If you do have a loss, and it could be a really attractive moment to sell. If you're in a loss, you report your losses, and then obviously but you cannot actually buy before the end of the year. Otherwise, well, there's some tax strategies, but usually the most common tax strategy you start buying in January, like which is a new year, right? And then a lot of people play that game, especially institutions, right? They want to sort of balance their books and things like that. They sell shit that they don't want to hold in their books, right? Because obviously they need to close the books on at the end of the year, right? In Australia, it's different, by the way. In Australia, we close books on June, so our financial year closes in June, not in December, like like in a regular country. I don't know why in Australia we anyhow.
Thailand's is April.
Is it really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so
England's is
fucked up,
April
man.
as well. Mm.
But yeah, that probably is fueling the sell-off. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
but the interesting thing is, and something that I talked in the past is we need to be aware of when people stop selling.
Hmm.
So there's two things that will drive the market towards bull.
Hmm.
One is new buyers, and the other one is sellers stop selling.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because when sellers don't sell any longer, or they sold everything that they already wanted to sell,
Hmm.
then the market sort of comes down and stops, and now it's like buyers say, all right, now buyers get interested in the future in you know what I mean. But when it's
Some
still
bargain prices.
exactly, but when it's still sellers in the game, any upside is a selling opportunity. You know
Mm.
what I mean. That's the behavior that we've
Mm.
been seeing pretty much from the, and I can prove it to you because every single week we'll go through, and a New Year session dumps Asia prices, so that's attractive for sellers.
Hmm.
So what we need to be aware of is when our sellers are say, yeah, that's it, I'm not going to sell anymore. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's when the market goes. You know what I mean? Because
Okay.
sellers exhaustion plus buyers, that's gonna fucking just rip all the way up, and it's gonna happen
Um,
fast. So
we're going to use a mix of, say, like open interest and.
in a way, you could look at it that way, but price action patterns. So let's jump in. Let's jump
Mm.
right in. Because
Just before we just while you're just splashing your
sure, sure,
charts
sure,
up,
sure, sure.
couple of quick announcements then, especially everybody that's in YF10K. Remember that we're going to be 1 day earlier for the live call because then that'll be Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and yeah, the signals are going to keep coming every day. We're having a lot of fun in there. Thank you for everybody that joined us. And the best thing about YF10K is you don't have to do any of this.
No, man, no, that's why I love it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Obviously,
Let's get the charts open and start making guesses.
is one of those things that it comes with these different mindsets, right? Like the why, if can you do a sort of like consistent through output, you're not gonna hit home runs. You're not gonna fucking get the 100x's, 200x's, so 10x's. You don't, because you cap your wins, you cap your losses, but it's consistent. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause with this one, last year we took that $1,000 and we converted it into 15,000 before the fucking drop, right?
Mhm.
That's the type of things, but you have to do a lot of work. A lot of work. You have to go through a lot of emotions. You have to like you know what I mean? Like we were up to 18,000 at some point, and then we have the liquidation event. And now we are for 5,000, give or take. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And that
Mm.
doesn't sit well, right?
It's a great big elbow.
It's still profitable, but dude, that was a big hit. You know what I mean? Like it was a big hit. So you don't gonna get those type of hits with the one, with the with the
Mm.
YF10 system in a way, right? So it's different, right? Which one are more inclined to do? I do both, but because I love it. But I'm getting tired of fucking discretionary. Don't get me wrong. Every day trying to time the market and all this sort of stuff, it gets to a point that, oh man, and the day that you get tired is the day that things turn, and then you have fucking hey, man. Is that how it is?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know what I mean. Like so, that is, so consistency. That's why I always look at the markets regardless of the status because you don't know when things are going to happen. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking can happen tomorrow, before January, through January. It will happen in Christmas. It happened in New Year's. I remember when was it, like
Mm.
probably 8 years ago, something like that. In New Year, especially on New Year's, right on the New Year, it was a big crash, and a lot of people got liquidated. But that wasn't on crypto. That was on regular markets. You know, things like that happen. You know what I mean? So obviously, uh, the positive of the YF10 system is that you will not get that stuff. You know, some more secure stuff. Anyway, just rambling.
Absolutely. And Todd was just saying that because the YF10K system, like that's what it is. Okay. Boom. And then anything else that you want to do is up to you. Okay. So it's like Todd here, he's just stayed in one of the winners and has still got a short that's running. And like good for him, man. Like we don't have
That's great, man.
documentation for everything like this, and we're not but once you know, oh, that's all there is, you can then either just do that or you can experiment and do what you like. Yeah, that is quite funny because I did say to Todd, I said, okay, so you've started late. When will you finish? He goes, oh, on the 3 hour.
And Todd, and the good thing, Todd, has been around, like, he's man, I think he's part of the team already, man. Like a year already part of
Yeah,
the team.
yeah.
And Todd, don't get me wrong, like you're discretionary, like this is what we do here. But then you could start mixing stuff, and you use the open interest and all the stuff that we talk about here with the YF system. Maybe you could do that sort of stuff. I don't, because I don't want to mix my brain. I don't want to get mixed emotionally, right? But I can definitely see why, because there's so many stuff that you can see with the open interest that you can actually just hold, and they're gonna fucking crash, which is beautiful, right? Like that's what the interesting thing about trading the YF10 is that you learn that crypto is a fucking scam at the end of the day. I'll say 80% of all the tokens out there, it's just very scammy. It's just a few things that are going to go for the long term. Um, and I'll show it to you, man. Like it's so many things going on right now. So interesting. That's a good thing, man. That's a good thing. Anyway, let's jump
Yeah, let's crack
into
on.
because I don't have much, but I do have interesting stuff to show you. All right, let's start with Bitcoin. So, like I was saying, what I'm sort of aiming to is when is this the time to buy? Is this time to go short? Should we hold? What should we do? Right? That's kind of, this is the price action of Friday. I always like, let's start with the weekly first. Okay. Let's start with the weekly because we just had a brand new weekly candle. Okay. So weekly from this perspective looks pretty good, right? Like we still uptrending in a way. This is the year level. This is the level that we need to break in order to have full continuation, right? Once we see this level sort of being reclaimed, or people willing to, what I mean in terms of when you talk about people saying reclaim this level or this level sustain, just think about that. This is if it reclaims, it means that buyers are willing to pay that price for that asset, right? So if the price actually moves up to 96, right, and you start seeing that the price sort of holds that level, is because there are buyers there. There are people willing to say, shit, it's still 96 is a good price. I'm willing to buy. But if the price doesn't hold, more than likely there's no buyers. More than likely, what's going to happen is price is going to go all the way down until they find the new uh, level where buyers are interested again. So that's what markets. That's it. Sounds
Yeah.
easy. You know what I mean? Like sounds
Buy
easy.
low, sell high.
I know. It's simple, isn't it? Right? But then obviously, when is the question. So here's where I'm tracking. So essentially, I'm tracking to I'm looking for exhaustion of sellers. That's the first thing that I'm watching. You know, are the sellers, are shorts as well, willing to say no more, right? Because what has been happening recently is that on every yeah, right here. Let me just go here. All right. On every sort of breaking upside, shorts go bang, right? Or sellers go bang. Okay. And market just tanks, market tanks. So this is the behavior that we sort of want to experience at this level specifically. Are still shorts interested in shorting, number one, and are sellers still interested in selling. Okay. So this is when we start seeing sellers exhaustion. So what I think is happening at the moment is we start seeing that right now. Why do I think it? Well, I think it, but it's backed up of what I'm seeing here. Okay, so this is the first time, like on what happened on 19th. I don't know what day was the 19th, but on the 19th was the first time kind of again that we start seeing this massive CVD inflows coming through. What that means is buyers are ready to buy. Like now, finally, this level here of, let's say, the bigger volume came out here, right? So around 85,000 are interest people are interest for buyers to go long, right? And it's sort of been holding that level, even though the CVD volume start coming down, the level is been holding, right? So that creates two things. One, shorts. So what drives the market down? Shorts and sellers, right? So if it's not shorts, opening at these levels, then more than likely we're going to have continuation level by level by level. And this actually going to happen fast. Why? Because when markets starts moving up to the upside, which is makes it a little bit bigger, you get this kind of liquidations, right? Liquidations to the upside. So all the people that are still short are either forced to close their positions or they just get liquidated, right? And that fuels the price to the upside. Okay. So I'm still like we are 2 days to Christmas, yeah, or 3 days. So today here is the
Good.
22nd. Can we have a Santa rally? Is still a possibility, right? Based on the price action that I'm seeing at the moment. So what I'm seeing today, which is just happening quite interesting. So on Monday on open, on the daily open, right, we did have a lot of CVD coming through. Okay. So even though we retrace, we still seeing buying here. We're still seeing buying here. Okay. So can be that I can see it that it could be people front running the new yields, because they are expecting that on January people are willing to buy again, right? So that's something that it could be happening, right? Another interesting thing is if we look this from the higher, like 4 hours sort of deal, you can start seeing now the bottom information here on the open interest. Wouldn't you agree? Like it's been fucking a sell-off, bam, 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 and finally can start seeing a little bit of bottoming. Like you see a lot of sellers exhaustions right
Mm.
here. Wouldn't you agree or would you disagree?
No, I fully agree. I mean, that looks like it's been in a downtrend for quite some time, and there is a distinctive change in the direction.
You can see it definitely, right?
Yeah,
Now,
is it obvious to an 8-year-old? Like, yeah.
exactly. So this is the type of setups that you should be trading now. So that's what I've been in the sidelines for a while, man. I think now we could start opening up some trades, to be honest, because once once Bitcoin finds the bottom, things are going to just fucking skyrocket. And why do I say that as well? Let's so so this is what I'm seeing in terms of, you know, I was very tempted to actually go on trades on Friday, to be honest. But then I held back. And why? I wanted to wait to see what happened with this weekly. I wanted to get position, and by all means,
Hmm.
let's talk mean rever. Like you mentioned something at the beginning of the call, mean reversion, trending,
Hmm.
and so let's define a few things, but let's define a few things from different time frames. So we are in the weekly, right? If we enter a trade now going long, right? Is that going to be a trend trade or is that going to be a mean reversion trade?
Oh, what a question.
I know.
Um, I'm gonna say a mean reversion trade.
Exactly. When when do you think the mean reversion says is not a mean reversion trade?
Um, Todd, put a comment in quickly. When is it not a mean reversion trade? Okay, so I'm hesitant because I'm got sort of levels in my head. Like there's two distinctive sort of liquidity pool levels that you've got there. So I'd be thinking that I want a weekly close in that top liquidity box. Then I think it would be trending.
Okay, that's fair enough. So obviously that's why people use these moving averages. Moving
Mhm.
average will take the trend, and essentially once we are above that moving average, and the moving average start moving to the upside, and then you get a pullback, that will be a trend trade. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of by definition, and this is not my definition. If you look in the textbooks of trading, that's what it is. So there's a few things here that we could try, and I've been mentioning this for a while. So definitely I want to catch this mean revert trade from the higher time frame towards the 100K. And the interesting thing here, why I keep mentioning 100K. 100K, there's a few factors that we have here. One is if you have a look, that's kind of a 200 daily EMA that sits around the 100K. It's 101, but then it's going, if we start getting this, if we start going up, this one might just come down a little bit and do something like this, right? So
Mm.
that's number one. Number two is 100K is a very interesting, important psychological number. Okay, very important. So what I'm
Very
trying
tricky, very important.
what I'm trying to say here is that there is a high, like like let's talk possibilities, let's talk probabilities,
Mhm.
and because that's kind of what we do here, right? Like, okay, let me just delete all this shit. Yeah. All right. Probably number one, which is the one that I'm more inclined to be honest, is that we're going to do something like this towards the 100K. Okay. Why do I stop in the 100K? Because at 100K, right, you could find new shorts or new people willing to sell. The people that didn't sell here maybe are willing to sell here. And that
Mm.
could drive the market even something like that. Do you guys believe that this could happen? Yes or no? Let me know. Let me tell, like, what are the probabilities of this setup right
Mm.
here? And
So,
I'm talking about the weekly, from the weekly
okay.
perspective. Okay.
So when we use the phrase a relief rally, that can be
Yes.
over multiple weeks. So if that is that that's correct, yeah? So
Well, not
or
necessarily. Not necessarily,
yeah.
because that's the trick. Let me find examples, because
Because
even
it
though we are in the
seems you've described a relief rally situation, but then I was,
exactly,
how fast does it have to happen?
have no fucking clue, man.
Hmm.
I know the levels, but I don't know if that's going to go in 2 weeks, 5 weeks. Is I think that's the crystal ball that Darren was talking about, probably. Uh, in, because if there's not enough liquidity, it will be very easy for market makers or for people to drive this in 1 week.
Hmm.
And then next week, bang. Something like this. Look at this candle, and that happened the same week. Up, down, up, down. You know what I mean? Like it could happen, So I'm not,
Hmm.
that's why I don't want to put a time frame on it. Very difficult to know, but the levels are the levels. They could get there in
What
2 weeks time, without like this week. So
Okay.
that's the
But
one that I want to catch, right?
how much emphasis in this scenario should we put on that ATR? Because volatility is dropping, but it's dropping from an extremely high position. So we're not in that scenario of low volatility, explosive move.
Exactly. Exactly. But that doesn't mean that this could do something like this. That's scenario number two, that the mean reversion trade gets actually a trending. Scenario number one, which is
Mm-hmm.
the one the one that I'm aiming. I think in my
Mm-hmm.
perspective, I'm 60% there on that one.
Right.
It's scenario number two, right? I'm more down to the 20%. I'm talking today with the price
Mm-hmm.
action that I'm seeing today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the third? The third, right? The third is
You
just
just keep
bloody,
going.
just fucking
Silence.
ranging. That's
Mm.
it. That will be my remaining.
Breakdown as of what you see today.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Exactly. So, and I will say 15, and I will say 25. Like I'm more like either it's ranging, right? The full breakout and all the way a new all-time highs in the near future. I don't see it happening, but it could happen, right? Like that's the lowest possibility in my books. But I do see a relief rally. Like this is the one that I'm trying to at least catch one or two, but obviously be mindful. Uh, would I go all in here right now, full? And by the way, when you should go risk on when you do trending trades? So things like this, for instance, when you start going into the trend, that's when you go, fuck, let's go full on, man, on risk. Things like that, like, because right now we're still catching the mean reversion thing. So mean reversion trades very profitable, but there's also this option. Let's talk about option there, okay?
Mm.
And how many of you think that from this level we're going? Been waiting for a while. Be honest. 74,000. How many of you think that that could happen?
Hmm. See, this is gonna be an interesting vote.
Give me a percentage, Darren. When you say possible, let's work it out in percentages. Do you think is okay? We got 50% chance, right? Okay, 60-40. Okay. To be honest, I need to put that there because that's a possibility as well. So that's how basically we go in terms of probability. Uh, so
Hmm.
now let me now
Woo!
All right. So if I invert the chart now from the weekly perspective, now give me now give me a percentage of this scenario here. True.
This is interesting because I
Yeah.
don't think this week, I don't think the impact of inverting it is as dramatic. Like I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, we're we're kind of trying to hammer out a base here, and we've been trying to hammer this base out for a month now.
Hmm.
So I don't think I could change from your original 60 if I'm
Correct.
looking at it in the right direction, because this could be lost as easily as it could break out.
I know. I know. I know. That's why I like playing with the inversion. So um, if I get to the same thesis when I see both sides of the spectrum, then I'm, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm
Mm,
okay. Even though if the trade doesn't work, at least I did, I did,
mm, mm.
I looked it up from different angles, right? In a way. So so yeah. So let's now switch it back and let's go into and let's go into the daily. Okay. All right. So from the daily, so now we have our levels now ready from the weekly, right? Now from the daily, now let's have a look at the ATR. So definitely the ATR actually, so the volatility is coming down. So it's a highly likelihood that we could, once we start breaking above here, this could actually, at least for sure, we're going to go 94, man. 94, which is the high, like that's the range. That's the
Mm.
highest thing that we have ever been from November. So that's the range. So I did mention something on Friday in terms of ranging. Um, the interesting about ranging is what's the bottom of the range and what's the highest thing of the range. The highest thing we already know what the highest thing is. The bottom of the range we don't know. It looks like it's forming now here, right? And that's why I was very interested in taking a punt on Friday. So on Friday, I was noticing the price action. It wouldn't be a really good trade, like because it was, you know, I did talk about it, but I decided not to, just to the fact of the weekend and Christmas and low liquidity and things like that. But whatever we do here, if we take some trades, probably just use low risk. And then once we start becoming that trending environment, then we'll start increasing the risk.
Mm.
The interesting thing, and if we're lucky, we get a low risk, no, like yeah, lower risk trade, and then that lower risk trade converts into a mean trade, into a trend trade, and then that's when you convert very small amount of money into a very high profitable trade, you know. But I cannot actually tell you that that's going to happen. That's just luck if we get all the ducks right and at the end of the day. But I'm willing to definitely take some profit on the 100K area if we actually get to take some longs at these levels. Looks interesting, man. I think I'm going to take some punts on some tokens based on this price action. So that's technically what I'm seeing at the moment. So Uh, if we have a look, and let's combine it with the majors. So let's have a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum, let's go on the weekly, right? Because if Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and now BNB behave the same, and we start seeing, you know, that's when you see that it's market strength across like when you start seeing the majors moving. I think that's when could be interesting opportunities to the upside. Okay. Or when people stop selling the majors, right? Because this is the last thing that actually gets sold in a way. think about it from a perspective of a fund, right? Or a hedge fund. Let's say they have they usually, if they do a regular risk profile, a portfolio risk management, they usually put, I don't know, 50% on safe assets, and then the other 50% they might split it in different risk categories and things like that. So uh, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and BNB now, they're sort of, well, I will argue about BNB, but at least BTC, Ethereum, and Solana could be seen as the safest things, like so once you start seeing that this stops selling, that's when alts, which are fucking alts are just down so dramatically. That's when alts, which are the risky assets, are going to start sort of just moving all the way up. And that's my thesis. Am I right? Am I wrong? We'll see. That's the thing. You know what I mean? I could be completely wrong, but that's the thesis that I'm playing with this. So, with that being said, what do you guys think about Ethereum? Just give me your thoughts. This is the weekly chart. Is that a good weekly chart? Would you buy right now? What would you do right now just by looking at it before we go into what I'm saying here? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Say whatever you want. Hold not to buy could be a place to start taking some risk. Yes. Okay. Okay. GK. Same as BTC, maybe a small taste now and see if it crosses that EMA. Yeah. Yeah. That's the safest. Yep. Okay. No confidence. Usually, and this is something that you will see year by year by year. Usually, when everybody's hating something and they have no confidence, that's when you need to buy. It's
Mm.
very counterintuitive, right? It's taking me a lot of years and then when everything is on an euphoric level, all-time highs, down when we should start selling. You know what I mean? Like it is tough. But then when you start seeing less confidence in the market, that's why I ask you, because when you start seeing a lot of no confidence, I'm hold on, and maybe that's the time that I think I need to force myself to buy some. You know what I mean? And usually that's when it comes in, right? So based on that, right, what I'm seeing here is very similar to Bitcoin, right? Obviously, the interesting thing is this level here, the 3,000. We're very close to reclaiming back. So what I mean, again, if I say reclaiming back, buyers will be interested in buying, right? The mean reversion trade here is less gappy. What that means is it's a less gap between Bitcoin, right? So the gap between the price now and the 200 EMA is 15%. On Ethereum, right? The gap between the mean the is actually 11%, right? That tells me, just by looking at the chart, is that Ethereum could be a best bet of Bitcoin. If we go have a look at Ethereum against Bitcoin, we still see this is the we still see that now we do have a trending environment for Ethereum, right? And what that means is Ethereum, this is a trend trade. Trend, breakout, bang, pullback. This is the perfect setup for a trend trade. Okay, now I want to be clear on these charts again. I keep saying the same thing. This doesn't mean that if this chart moves like this is the Ethereum against Bitcoin. That doesn't mean that everything is going to go up. What that means is that market still will be like, there's a chance that it will be able to drop. But if Ethereum drops less than Bitcoin, you're still going to see this behavior. So this doesn't tell you market directionality. It tells you which one of these two assets are strongest. That's it. Be very careful with this chart. Okay. So combine this with, if we start seeing Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana buying, then I'll rather be on Ethereum at this particular time because it looks like we are going to have that trend, which it could be very, very positive for alts, right? Because Ethereum is the catalyst of alts. Ethereum and Solana, very good catalyst for risk on assets, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at on the Ethereum side of things. Now, let's break it down in the open interest. Now, what do you guys see here?
Well, price is rising.
Yeah.
The 30-minute chart, price is definitely rising. We see an uptick in open interest
Yep.
and a slight uptick after a very sideways period in the spot volume as well.
Yep.
Now, this one at the bottom, I always get confused which way the liquidation. Oh no, that's not liquidations, that's funding rate, isn't it, at the bottom?
Funded rate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Up, up, up.
So essentially, you could see now that we have sort of like a stable, you know what I mean? A ranging stable CVD is
Mhm.
sort of a stopped fucking going all the way down. You can actually start seeing it, right? So that's what I think. If we only have a look at those two charts, I think we're in the verge of a relief rally. Is that going to be the bottom? I don't know. That's why I'm very clear. We catch this little bit of a relief rally, hopefully upwards 100K. But then if that happens, Ethereum, like if Bitcoin goes to 100K, Ethereum definitely more than likely will go up to probably 4K or something like that, right? Because there's much more demand for it as you can actually see it at the moment. Okay, so that's that's why I think I'm going to start buying.
So you're seeing
All
ETH as
right.
the hottest girl on campus right now.
So if I see a strong ETH and now I start seeing Solana is not that strong, right? So look at the weekly on Solana; it's not that strong. But BNB is very similar as ETH, right? So we see a little bit of risk on the markets at the moment. Now, let's talk about risks. So what are the risks? So that's why I don't want to go full on right now. We are 2 days away from Christmas or 3 days away from Christmas. We're going to have low liquidity. So if we do take some trades, maybe take some profit move, stop losses, it's going to be plenty of opportunities in the new year when we come into a bull run, if we do ever get there. But yeah, just be mindful, you know what I mean? Like in terms, and, take some profits, some stop losses, things like that. I wouldn't go huge risk on right now, but I'm very tempted to start buying definitely, man. Like it looks good, man. Like I cannot actually deny what I'm seeing. So, so,
Uh,
so, so, so I could be completely wrong. It could be a stopped out, so be it. And you have to be okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, so if I take some buys, right? And if you buy a spot, be okay if it starts going down and adding more. So let's talk about some trades that I'm thinking. Okay, so
mhm.
thinking of hype. Okay, so hype, very very good level here. Now we are at the 24 level. This is very close to the liquidation event that we happened at on October
October
10th.
10th.
Yep. So it bounced right there, right? So I do like hype, right? If I go into the sort of a smaller time frame, this is 6 hours, you can actually see now that this is that overextension, seller exhaustion, probably. And I'm making my thesis. I'm building my thesis as we go. So if we start sort of going, there is a high likelihood that we can start doing mean reversion trades across the market, right? So hype is one of my favorites, right? But I do like adding more hype here on the spot side, right? If It comes down, I'm gonna add more. So this is one of the strongest one that I want to add more, right? Another one is Asta. Same deal. Asta has been very overextended. It looks like shit, to be honest, but this is kind of assets that people will jump in quite quickly. So markets could shift quite a bit. So if so, it's worth the risk. And what that means is, when I say it's worth the risk, let's say that we open a purse position here on Asta, and then we put a stop loss probably here, and you risk, I don't know, 1% of your account, right? So let me just give me 1 second. That open the door with the dog. All right. So let's say that we're right? And you risk 0.5 or 1%. Let's go 1% just to be clear. Say yeah, you have $5,000 in your account, you reward 1%. If you're right, and this goes, and this is the mean reverse that shift into trend, you could do 10, 20% on one trade only, just by risking 1% of your full account. You know what I mean? This is the type of moments. But if you're wrong, sorry, not you, if I'm wrong, because I'm doing if my thesis is incorrect and I get stopped out, it's all good. I only lose 1% or 0.5%, right? I can always add more on this area here. Oh, sorry, I'm talking about Asta. Yeah, on the $1 area, I can always add more in the future, right? But I'm already on profit on a big one, so I can risk my profit. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a very good sort of time now to start sort of looking into good assets in a way. Asta, still think it has probabilities because obviously it's being backed up by BNB, by CC and all that sort of stuff. So another one, and this is HAP is less risky. Asta, Pump, and Virtual are riskier. Pump, I really like Pump, right? Pump is now going through a lawsuit. So usually, a lot of people, but the protocol itself still exists. The protocol is pretty strong. So I'm looking at that. Bad news plus good fundamentals on this token. At least we can get that mean reversion back into this area right here. So those are the type of trades that I'm looking. So it's sort of like a medium-ish term. Take some profits, move a stop loss, and if it happens to be the bottom, then man, happy days. You know what I mean? Same thing with Virtual. Virtual I've been looking at this level for a while, so it is not like this definitely. And I'm looking from the smaller time frames. This is the 6 hours, and this definitely looks like a deviation. You can actually see this, that it reclaimed this level here, and then there is a high. No, it's not high, but I'm tempted to actually start opening a trade here. So those are the ones. Sui as well. So we got out on Sui, but now I think could be another good one as well. Arrow, same deal. Ina, same deal. So those are my favorites, to be honest. Okay, so what's the downside? There we go, Marlon. Thank you. Yeah. So that's it. That's the only thing that I be aware of. Pump. What is my worry? The low liquidity, and I'm seeing a lot of shit like this happening. So check this price action. So H, I was looking at H of Friday, and this one went up like 50% over the weekend. Same thing as Light, but look at this thing, man. This is the stuff of manipulation that we have to be aware on crypto. Light, I was looking at it as well over the weekend, and this thing went up 4x and dropped, right? Let me just put this in the small time frames. In 1 freaking hour, man, it dropped from 4.5 all the way down to 2, and then now it's 0.9. So this type of manipulation is pretty tough to trade, to be honest, especially on using PEPs. So that's why I'm going to stick with bigger sort of coins for the time being. But but yeah, this is why it's keeping me. That's why I don't want to go risk on fully. I'm seeing too much of this stuff happening. Jelly, for instance, look at this thing, man. Uh, Interesting
Yeah.
price action, but yeah, a lot of manipulation here and there. So that's kind of the risk. So be careful. You know what I mean? If we go into some trades, don't risk too much. But with that being said, I'm just tempted to actually start opening trades, to be honest.
Mm.
Tempted, but I'm not. I need to see how the price unfolds today, and then I'll see if I can. But another important one that I want to talk about is KLED. So we did talk about, I don't know, I'm still in KLED, but I'm thinking of adding more. All right, so we are down probably 30%. I think we added around here, but the price action of KLED has been really, really good despite the market conditions. Okay, and I think there is a high probability that KLED it could do. And this is on-chain stuff because I've been doing some research this morning on-chain. So we have KLED. KLED, we have news coming. This is another one that I want to show you. So it's been a lot of updates. KLED is like a data protocol on-chain. It's keep adding more, it keeps raising money. It's doing partnerships now. If people buy KLED now, you're gonna get an airdrop or straight for holders. So I think that's gonna drive a lot of the liquidity in. So that definitely is something that I'm looking to add more. Okay, so I'm gonna be adding more on KLED. And another one that I'm watching closely is a brand new one that I'm looking. It's called Dupe. So Dupe, this is on-chain things, could be very risky, but this is where the main opportunities could be. I will expect if we do have a bull run on Bitcoin, I think KLED definitely could do really, really well. So I haven't sold. Like I say, guys, my plan is to sell a little bit around the 0.1, which is the 100 million market cap sort of deal. But then I'm gonna start adding more a little bit on KLED. So yeah, those are the ones that I'm on that I want to sort of highlight today. Dupe, and Dupe, what it is like an agentic e-commerce stuff on chain. So there is a lot of hype around this one as well. So obviously this could be, I don't know about this one yet, but it caught my eye, right? It has pretty good backers and it's gathering a lot of, and this is kind of on-chain plus real uh projects, like stuff that they can use in the real life. So KLED is a data driven, is things that you can actually sell. You can get revenue streams. Same thing with Dupe. So those are the ones that I just want to highlight for today. So yeah.
Nice.
Kim, yes, KLED, same token as KLED. Yeah, KLED AI. Yes, it is. Yeah. Besides that, let's see what happens today. Let's see what happens on New York, and I think next session will be after Christmas, I guess.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it'll be 29th next week.
29th. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Uh, or something that will happen on 29th, but let's see how the market moves on the holidays, and but then if it's low liquidity, maybe we're gonna end up on a low liquidity year as well, and then
Mm.
next year will be interesting. But I'm seeing things sort of, that's why I don't want to short.
Mm.
Like go, I definitely want to short the YF10K for very short term, very small trades, but I don't want to go full short right now, aiming the 74. You know what I mean? I'm not that.
Mm. Mm.
I'm not that there yet. I'm still bullish based on those reasons. So yeah.
Awesome. Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right,
See you
guys.
next
Merry
week.
Christmas. Have a good one, and we'll see you next week.
Ta-da.